There are billionaires, and then there's the Ambani family. Mukesh Ambani built a $2 billion private skyscraper with a room that makes artificial snow. His son's wedding cost $600 million and had Rihanna performing privately. The word billionaire barely scratches the surface of what this family has actually built. Here's the full picture, from clerk to conglomerate, the making of an empire. Before we get to the snow room, and yes, there is a snow room, a room inside a private Mumbai home where the walls produce artificial snowflakes on command. Because when you're that rich, apparently even the weather is negotiable. Before we get to the Boeing 737 that costs more than some countries' yearly military budgets, before we get to the underground garage that could swallow a small car dealership whole, we have to go somewhere else entirely. We have to go back to Yemen in the late 1950s, where a young man from Gujarat is working a clerk's job, handling spices and textiles, and quietly building a picture in his head of what the world could look like if you were bold enough to try to reshape it. Because here is the thing about the Ambani family's wealth that most people, even people who follow this stuff closely, fundamentally fail to appreciate. They look at the headlines, they see the numbers, they hear the word billionaire, and they think they understand what they're looking at. They don't. The true scale of what the Ambani family has accumulated, not just Mukesh, not just his net worth as a single line on a Bloomberg spreadsheet, but the family, the dynasty, the interconnected web of assets and influence and empire, is something that defies the kind of easy summary that fits in a news headline. So let's actually try to understand it. From the beginning, Dhirubhai Ambani was born in 1932 in the state of Gujarat, India. His family was not wealthy. There was no silver spoon, no inheritance waiting on the other side of childhood, no safety net built out of generations of accumulated capital. As a young man, he packed what he had and moved to Aden, the port city in what is today Yemen, where he found employment at a trading company called A. Besico, dealing in spices, textiles, and commodities. He spent years there learning how global trade actually worked, not from a textbook, not from a university classroom, but from the ground floor of commerce itself, watching supply chains move, watching margins get squeezed, watching the people who understood value creation rise, while the people who merely followed instructions stayed still. He returned to India in 1958. And in 1966, in a country still navigating the deeply protectionist labyrinth of post-independence economic policy, a country where a licensed Raj made doing any kind of serious business feel like trying to build a skyscraper while filling out forms in triplicate, Dhirubhai Ambani established Reliance Textiles Industries. It was a small beginning. Textiles, yarn, the most basic building blocks of an industrial economy. But the man was not thinking small. He had a philosophy, a guiding principle that would eventually define one of Asia's greatest corporate empires. And it was this: think big, think fast, think ahead. What Dhirubhai did next was, in the context of Indian business history, genuinely revolutionary. He pioneered the use of public equity raises in India, launching Reliance's initial public offering in 1977 and turning millions of ordinary Indian retail investors into shareholders, people who had never owned a piece of a company before, people who came from small towns and middle-class households, and who became deeply personally invested in Reliance's success. This was brilliant for two reasons. It gave the company access to capital, and it gave the company a constituency. A public that believed in it. A public that on some level owned a piece of it and thus rooted for it. And then he built backwards. From textiles into polyester, from polyester into petrochemicals, from petrochemicals into refining. The Jamnagar refining complex that eventually emerged from his vision, the one built on the western coast of Gujarat with an ambition that seemed almost delusional at the time of conception, would go on to become the world's largest single-location oil refinery, a fact that remains true today. One location, the entire world, largest. Dhirubhai Ambani died in July 2002, and because he left no will, no instructions, no formal plan, nothing written down about how to handle what he'd built. What followed was one of the most public, most dramatic, most consequential family disputes in the history of Indian business. His two sons, Mukesh and Anil, could not agree on how to divide the empire. The disagreement did not stay behind closed doors. It spilled into newspapers, into stock exchanges, into regulatory bodies, into public statements that made the world watch two brothers fight over the inheritance of a company that touched millions of lives. It was by any measure a mess. It took their mother to end it. Kokilaban Ambani stepped in to mediate, and in 2005 a resolution was announced that formally divided the family's business interests. Mukesh retained Reliance Industries industries: the refining, the petrochemicals, the oil and gas, the flagship. Anil received telecom, power, and financial services assets. On paper, and at the time, it looked like a reasonable division. Decades later, the gap in outcomes between the two branches of the family tells you everything you need to know about which half of the business was the real engine. Because what Mukesh Ambani did after the split is the central story of how this family became what it is today. He had been preparing for this for a long time. He studied chemical engineering at the Institute of Chemical Technology in Mumbai, briefly enrolled at Stanford Business School, and joined Reliance in 1981, where he spent years overseeing some of the most complex industrial projects the company had undertaken, including the early work at Jamnagar. When he took the helm of Reliance Industries outright after the demerger, he didn't simply maintain the inheritance, he transformed it, sector by sector, year by year, with a willingness to bet enormous sums of money on ideas that looked, to the outside world, like they might not work. The most audacious of those bets has a name: Jio. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Mukesh Ambani looked at India, a nation of more than 1 billion people, the majority of whom could not afford mobile data at the prices then being charged, and decided that this was not a fact of life. It was an opportunity. He poured more than $35 billion into building an entirely new telecommunications infrastructure from scratch. When Jio launched in 2016, it offered effectively free 4G data to the Indian public, and the effects on the market were seismic. Incumbent telecom companies that had built their business models on expensive data crumbled. Some merged out of desperation. Some simply ceased to exist in their prior form. And India, quite suddenly and quite dramatically, became one of the cheapest mobile data markets on Earth. Jio today has over 500 million subscribers, 500 million people. That is more than the combined population of the United States and Canada, and it attracted capital at a scale that validated the entire bet in a single announcement cycle. Facebook, Google, and a roster of global sovereign wealth funds and private equity giants collectively invested over $20 billion into Jio platforms at valuations that said clearly and loudly that this thing was real. But Reliance did not stop at telecom. Reliance Retail grew into one of India's largest organized retail chains, expanding across both physical stores and e-commerce platforms. A joint venture with Disney created a dominant media and entertainment force in JioStar. Jio Financial Services was spun off as a separately listed entity, entering lending, payments, and insurance. And now, more than $80 billion in planned investment toward green energy, targeting solar manufacturing, green hydrogen, battery technology, and the infrastructure of a post-carbon economy is positioning Reliance as one of the most consequential players in the global energy transition. Put it all together, and what you have is a company that generates approximately $125 billion in annual revenue, that at various points in 2026 has carried a market capitalization somewhere between $180 and $250 billion, that employs more than 400,000 people, and that by some estimates touches approximately 10% of India's entire GDP through its supply chains, operations, and economic ripple effects. And the Ambani family, through a web of holding companies, LLPs, and family trusts that collectively hold approximately 50% of Reliance, owns roughly half of all of it. That is not just wealth. That is control. Control of an institution that has become, in many ways, inseparable from the economic story of the world's most populous nation. As of mid-2026, Mukesh Ambani's personal net worth is estimated at between approximately $88 billion and $99 billion, depending on the methodology and the moment. That makes him Asia's richest person and one of the 20 or so wealthiest individuals on the planet. But Bloomberg's broader estimate, placing the Ambani family's collective wealth at somewhere between $105 and $120 billion, ranking them among the 8 richest families in the world, is the number that actually tells the story. Because this was never just about one man. It was always about a dynasty. And in part 2, we're going to walk you into the most extravagant expression of that dynasty that has ever been constructed on this earth. The Vartical Palace and the toys that come with it. Imagine you have been given, for the purposes of this thought experiment, unlimited resources, not merely more money than you could reasonably spend, truly unlimited. No ceiling, no budget meeting, no architect who comes back with a revised estimate and a nervous expression. What do you build? Maybe you imagine a mansion with a view, a grand entryway, multiple bedrooms and a pool, perhaps a wine cellar, perhaps a tennis court. These are the kinds of things that appear on real estate listings for properties that cost $20 million, $30 million. Things that normal billionaires buy in the Hamptons or the south of France and feel reasonably pleased with. Mukesh Ambani built a 27-story private skyscraper in Mumbai with a snow room. Antillia, named after the mythical Phantom Island from Spanish and Portuguese legend, rises 173 meters or 568 feet above Altamount Road in the exclusive Kumbala Hill neighborhood of Mumbai, a stretch of real estate so densely packed with extraordinary wealth that it is sometimes called Billionaire's Row. But Antillia is not simply the tallest or most expensive thing on the street. It is, by most credible estimates and by almost any measure you choose to apply, the most expensive private residence ever built by a private individual on this planet. The land beneath it, approximately 4,532 square meters, just over 1 acre, was previously occupied by an orphanage. It was acquired by an Ambani-controlled entity in 2002. Construction began around 2006 and completed in 2010, undertaken by firms including Leighton Asia and B.E. Billamoria. The architecture was designed by Perkins and Will of Chicago, the interiors by Hirsch Bedner Associates of Los Angeles. The structural engineering, which needed to handle the extraordinary demands of a building this complex at this scale, was handled by Sterling Engineering of Mumbai. And the entire structure was designed to withstand a magnitude 8 earthquake. Because when you spend this much money on a home, you also spend whatever it takes to make sure it's still standing next century. But the family didn't move in when construction was finished. Because Antillia is deeply, deliberately aligned with Vastu Shastra, the ancient Indian architectural science governing the relationship between a building and the natural forces, directions, and cosmic energies that flow through it. And Vastu experts identified elements of the completed building that needed to be addressed. In June of 2011, approximately 50 pandits performed elaborate rituals to correct the Vastu concerns, and it was only after those rituals were complete that the family moved in September 2011. Think about that for a moment. You have just finished building a home that cost between $1 and $2 billion, and your response is to wait because the energy isn't right yet. That is what it looks like to take Vastu as seriously as the Ambanis do. So, what do you actually get when you build a 27-story private home? You get 27 stories of living space, but because the ceilings on each floor are unusually high, designed to accommodate the sheer grandeur of the spaces inside, the building contains fewer actual floors than a commercial skyscraper of the same height would. The result is approximately 37,000 to 40,000 square meters of floor space, roughly 400,000 square feet, spread across levels that each feel and look entirely different from one another. The design philosophy was consistency without repetition. Every floor carries the building's central design language of lotus and sun motifs, executed through crystals, marble, and mother of pearl, but no two floors look the same. You get 3 rooftop helipads, though regulatory approvals from aviation, defense, and environmental bodies have limited their full operational use, which is perhaps the only thing about Antillia that suggests any constraints exist at all. You get 6 to 9 levels of dedicated parking with capacity for 168 cars, and an integrated full-service car station inside the building itself. Not a parking lot, not a garage in the ordinary sense. A multi-story automotive facility with maintenance infrastructure where the family's collection of Rolls-Royces and Ferraris and armored Maybachs can be serviced without anyone needing to take them anywhere. The mechanic comes to the car doesn't go to the mechanic. This is a distinction that exists for only the rarest category of human being. You get a 50-seat private movie theater, a grand ballroom with crystal chandeliers, an ice cream parlor, a full spa, salon, yoga studio, dance studio, fitness center, and multiple swimming pools, including terrace pools with panoramic views of the Mumbai skyline. You get multi-story hanging gardens, Babylon-inspired, lush, and improbably verdant, rising through the facade of the building like a living architecture installation, bringing green into the sky above one of the most densely urban environments on Earth. You get a private temple, because spiritual practice does not pause for extravagance. It is, in fact, built directly into the floor plan. And then you get the snow room. In a city where temperatures regularly climb past 35 degrees Celsius and the humidity is relentless for most of the year, Antillia contains a space where the walls generate artificial snowflakes, allowing the family to step, quite literally, into winter on demand. It is a detail so specific specific, so precisely targeted at the experience of relief from discomfort, that it somehow communicates the entire philosophy of this building more cleanly than any list of statistics could. This is not just a house. This is a machine for making life feel like exactly what you want it to feel like, at all times, regardless of what is happening outside its walls. Those walls currently house the full Ambani nuclear family, Mukesh and Nita, along with Akash and his wife Shloka Mehta, Isha and her husband Anand Piramal, and Anant and his wife Radhika Merchant, 3 generations living together in a single building supported by approximately 500 to 600 staff operating around the clock in shifts. It reportedly cost between $1 and $2 billion to build, and is now valued at up to $4.6 billion, as Mumbai's extraordinary real estate appreciation has done its work over the years since construction. When the Ambanis leave Antillia, the experience does not suddenly become ordinary. The flagship of the family's private aviation fleet is a Boeing 737 MAX 9 BBJ, registration VTAKV, a fully customized ultra-long-range private jet that arrived in India on August 27, 2024, and that is reportedly the first privately owned Boeing 737 MAX 9 in the entire country. The BBJ, Boeing business jet, takes what is fundamentally a commercial airliner platform, one normally configured to carry somewhere in the range of 220 passengers in a standard airline configuration, and converts it into something that barely resembles its commercial cousin. The cabin spans approximately 1,120 square feet, roughly 3 times the available space of a typical large cabin business jet, fitted out with private master bedroom suites, multiple lounge areas for relaxation or socializing, full conference and meeting room capability for in-flight business, a gourmet galley for fine dining at altitude, spa-level bathrooms with luxury fixtures, and high-speed satellite internet connectivity that keeps the family connected across hemispheres without a moment of interruption. This aircraft is not a vehicle. It is an extension of Antillia, repressurized for 40,000 feet. Its range exceeds 6,000 nautical miles non-stop, enough to fly directly from Mumbai to New York without a refueling stop. It operates managed under Reliance entities, and it sits at the front of a broader private fleet that also includes an Airbus A319 ACJ, Bombardier Global business jets, Dassault Falcon aircraft, and a complement of helicopters for shorter urban hops. The base price for a BBJ MAX 9 configuration starts at approximately $118 million, and with the level of bespoke customization applied to this aircraft, the total cost is estimated at $150 million or more, over 1,000 crores. The total value of the family's aviation fleet, taken together, runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars, and then of course there is what lives inside those 6 to 9 levels of Antillia's parking garage. The collection spans up to 168 vehicles, maintained by an in-house service facility that means no Ambani family car ever needs to be driven to a dealership. Public reporting documents multiple Rolls-Royce Phantoms in extended wheelbase configuration, each valued at upward of 12 rupees to 15 crore per unit, alongside several Rolls-Royce Cullinans, including black badge variants and armored versions, adding SUV versatility to the collection without sacrificing any of the Rolls-Royce brand's signature handcrafted opulence. There are Mercedes Maybach S680s in Guard specification, armored to ballistic protection standards with reinforced glass, run-flat tires, and integrated oxygen systems for use in threat environments. There are Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentley Bentaygas, Range Rovers, and reportedly even rare hyper-armored SUVs for the highest security movements. The Rolls-Royce collection alone, multiple Phantoms, multiple Cullinans, represents a sum in the tens of crores. The total automotive portfolio, across all 168 vehicles, is valued in the hundreds of crores, and it all sits inside a garage that is itself a feat of engineering, climate-controlled, integrated into the building's architecture, and operated as a fully functional automotive facility. The garage isn't just where the cars are kept, it's a museum, a private, functional, perpetually maintained museum of what the very top end of global automotive manufacturing is capable of producing, owned by one family, housed in one building, in one city. In Part 3, we look beyond Antillia and ask, what does the rest of the empire look like? What properties has this family placed around the globe? How are they planning to hand it all down? And how much further does the actual wealth stretch when you factor in everything that doesn't appear in Mukesh Ambani's Bloomberg profile? The dynasty, the global footprint, and the billions nobody talks about. Here's the thing about the number that appears beside Mukesh Ambani's name on Forbes or Bloomberg. That figure, somewhere between $88 and $99 billion as of mid-2026, is almost entirely a reflection of one thing: his stake in Reliance Industries. It is a market capitalization divided by a shareholding percentage, and it is updated every time RIL's stock moves. It is a real number. It is an extraordinary number, but it is also, in important ways, an incomplete picture of the Ambani family's true economic weight, because around that core number exists an entire universe of additional assets, properties scattered across the world's most expensive real estate markets, a sophisticated family office operation managing billions in external investments, a private aviation fleet, an automotive collection, jewelry at the scale of small national reserves, a sports franchise, philanthropic infrastructure, all of it orbiting the central sun of the Ryle stake like planets around a star. And when you factor all of it in together, Bloomberg's broader estimate of family wealth at over $105 to $120 billion starts to look not like an overestimate, but like a floor. So let's meet the family, and let's understand how it all actually works. Mukesh Ambani was born in 1957, the eldest son of the founder. He married Nita Ambani in 1985, who chairs the Reliance Foundation, the family's vast philanthropic arm, and played a central role in the Disney-Reliance Media joint venture. She is not a peripheral figure. She is a co-architect of the family's institutional presence and public identity. Together, they have 3 children. The twins, Akash and Isha, were born in 1991. Anant was born in 1995. All 3 were appointed to the board of Reliance Industries in 2023, the succession plan shifting from private preparation into public execution. The roles they have been given are precisely calibrated. Mukesh Ambani leads Jio, the telecom and digital platform with 500 million subscribers, now pushing into 5G, data centers, and AI. He studied at Brown University and is married to Shloka Mehta. Isha Ambani oversees retail and financial services. Reliance retails thousands of stores, e-commerce, and luxury brand partnerships. She is married to Anand Piramal of the Piramal Group. Anant Ambani leads the energy businesses, from the legacy refining operations that made the family rich to the $80 billion-plus green energy transition aimed at powering the future. He married Radhika Merchant in July 2024, in a wedding the world watched. By mid-2026, Mukesh has stated that the generational transfer of day-to-day management is almost complete, positioning himself as mentor and overseer, while the 3 children carry the operational weight. What Mukesh Ambani has built around this succession is a framework explicitly designed to prevent history from repeating itself. His father died without a will, and what followed was a public war between brothers. Mukesh has made clear, emphatically, publicly, and structurally, that this will not happen to his children. The approach is built around what he calls 3 bodies, 1 soul. The siblings are positioned not as rivals carving up a pie, but as co-custodians of a unified mission. Each leads their own vertical, but each also sits on the boards of the others, maintaining collective oversight. Reliance, Mukesh has stated, will remain indivisible, and supporting it all is the grooming of approximately 500 young leaders across the group, a deep professional bench, layered beneath a network of trusts and family-holding entities built for seamless intergenerational transfer. It is the succession plan Dhirubhai never had time to write, executed ahead of schedule by the son who lived through the consequences of its absence. Beyond Antilia, which is, as we have established, not so much a home as a small vertical city, the Ambani family maintains a portfolio of properties around the world that by various estimates adds up to a personal real estate value exceeding 30,000 rupees crore. In Dubai, on the iconic Palm Jumeirah, the man-made archipelago shaped like a palm tree that stands as one of the most recognizable symbols of Gulf ambition and excess. The family owns a waterfront mansion of approximately 3,000 square feet, with 10 bedrooms, a private 70-meter beach, indoor and outdoor swimming pools, a full spa, a salon, and a bar. The villa is associated with Anant Ambani and was reportedly purchased for approximately $80 million, a record residential transaction at the time of the deal. In England, the family purchased Stoke Park Estate in Buckinghamshire in 2021 for approximately £57 million, equivalent to $70 to $80 million or more at the time. Stoke Park is a historic 300-acre property with a Georgian mansion house, a 49-room luxury hotel facility, a 27-hole golf course, 13 tennis courts, lakes, and sweeping formal gardens, the kind of English countryside estate that is as much a piece of national heritage as it is a residential property. In New York City, the family holds high-floor units in the Time Warner Center near Central Park, a stake reportedly valued at approximately $98 million, commanding the kind of panoramic Central Park and Manhattan skyline views that feel abstract until you're actually standing in front of them. And in the Tribeca neighborhood, 11 Hubert Street, a former freight terminal, was acquired for approximately $20 million in 2025, earmarked for conversion into a bespoke family retreat in one of Manhattan's most desirable pockets. None of this includes the earlier Mumbai property, Sea Wind in Cafe Parade, the sea-facing building where the family lived before Antilia was completed and where Kokilaban Ambani reportedly still prefers to reside. Legacy in this family is not discarded. It is maintained alongside everything that came after it. The Ambani family office, tightly integrated with Reliance's operations rather than operating as a standalone entity, established a Singapore branch around 2022 to access international deal flow and Southeast Asian technology markets. Externally, beyond the core Reliance stake, the family manages an investment portfolio estimated at $15 to $20 billion or more, spanning private technology and AI ventures, green energy plays, consumer businesses, and selective global commitments. LP positions in leading venture funds, including Peak XV Partners, Accel India, and Lightspeed India, give the family exposure to the next generation of Indian technology, while luxury brand partnerships through Reliance Brands extend the consumer empire into the highest price points of global retail. And then there's the Mumbai Indians, the Indian Premier League cricket franchise owned by the family, one of the most celebrated teams in the sport, carrying an estimated brand value of approximately $242 million. In India, owning the Mumbai Indians is not merely a financial asset, it is a cultural institution. And then there are the assets that don't appear in any filing, the ones that show up at events. At the 2024 wedding of Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant, one of the most spectacular private events held anywhere in the world in recent memory, the jewelry on display was extraordinary. Radhika's bridal ensemble featured multi-layered diamond necklaces carrying hundreds of carats of diamonds paired with South Sea pearls, matching earrings, and elaborate forehead ornaments. Individual pieces were valued in crores. Full bridal sets reportedly exceeded tens of crores each. The family sources from houses like Harry Winston and Cartier, alongside India's finest independent jewelers, producing pieces that sit at the intersection of global luxury and classical Indian goldsmithing. For watches, the defining data point is this: Anant Ambani reportedly gifted soccer legend Lionel Messi a Richard Mille timepiece valued at approximately $1.2 million, a high-complication tourbillon with a skeletonized dial and titanium casing. Richard Mille makes perhaps 5,000 watches a year. The Ambanis gift them the way some people gift cards. The family maintains a broader collection of Richard Mille and Patek Philippe grand complications, individual pieces routinely valued at $500,000 or more. That adds yet another layer to a portfolio that, by now you understand, is operating at a scale that defies ordinary comprehension. So let us step back. Let us take in the full picture that we have built across these three parts. There is a man whose father arrived in India from a clerk's job in Yemen in 1958. That man built a textile company. That company, through 6 decades of ambition, reinvention, and a willingness to bet everything on things that seemed impossible, became one of the most consequential industrial enterprises in the world, generating approximately $125 billion a year in revenue and touching roughly 10% of India's entire GDP. The son who inherited the helm of that company transformed it again, from an oil and chemicals giant into a telecom empire, a retail juggernaut, a media force, and the scaffolding of India's digital future. He built a 27-story private home, valued at up to $4.6 billion in the middle of Mumbai, filled it with snow rooms and crystal ballrooms and hundreds of luxury vehicles, and has been methodically grooming 3 children to take over a dynasty that now spans refineries, 5G towers, cricket teams, English country estates, and a Boeing 737 that doubles as a flying penthouse. The Bloomberg Billionaires Index places the Ambani family among the 8 richest families in the world. But the real picture, the full picture, the one that takes into account account not just the stock price but the properties, the fleet, the office investments, the jewelry, the franchise, the decades of compound growth still being carefully stewarded into the next generation, is a picture that even the world's best financial databases struggle to fully capture. The Ambani family is richer than you think, not just in dollars, in reach, in depth, in the sheer, staggering scale of what 3 generations of a family from Gujarat have built from a trading post in Aden. And if history is any guide, they're not close to done.